The 2015 Polyglot Gathering is brought to you by italki. Become fluent in any language.
I could welcome you to this talk by saying, I would like to welcome you to my talk on politeness in the German language. In English, who would use German, I would say, ich möchte euch herzlich zu meinem Vortrag über Höflichkeit in der deutschen Sprache willkommen heißen. And then we are right at the topic, because if you notice, I used euch. So, basically the whole idea of this talk is, why did I use euch, although I don't know half of you? You know, half of the audience, I haven't spoken to you, I'm seeing you now for the first time, I don't know you, so if we are following the textbook examples, you open a textbook on German, it says, yeah, if you don't know someone and he's a stranger and he's an adult, you say Sie. No, I don't. And the reason why in this instance it would be wrong to say Sie is basically the whole gist of the talk. It was inspired by some discussions on the Facebook group, Polyglots, where people sometimes ask, okay guys, I'm learning German, and I'm quite uncertain because in this instance, do you say du or do you say Sie? And I thought, well, it's easy, you know? And I started talking, and the thread went long, and the post was getting longer, and you had to scroll for 2 pages. Well, I guess it's not that easy. Actually, it can get a bit complicated. So yes. Why should you pay attention? Yeah, as I said, the textbooks will explain to you how Sie and do are basically used, the basic use. It will tell you how grammar works. It's fine, it's nice. The problem is most of the textbooks do not tell you about the social protocols involved. Because, you know, I mean, if you say Sie to a stranger, and at some point you become friends, at what point do you stop saying Sie? How does that work? Yeah. You can open up any textbook and it will tell you that children, normally you say just do to children, that's normal. But children grow up. What happens when they get older? At what point do you stop saying do? And how does it work? Is it always do you always, if you go into a shop, do you always say Sie? Parent, no, closing parent. So, yeah, there are a lot of exceptions and special cases. And that is one of the reasons why my fellow native speaker said, oh yeah, could I join your talk as well? I said, all right. So, using the wrong pronoun can be a faux pas. Sometimes it can be illegal. We'll talk about that later. You can be insulting with either pronoun. So if you say do in the wrong situation, that can be an insult. If you use Sie, it can also be an insult, giving a situation. It's something you just have to keep in mind. Yeah, but the textbook is a good starter. So let's start with the textbook explanation again, so that we are all on the same page. We have in German mainly 3 ways of addressing people. The first one is Sie. The second one is du or ihr. Du for a single person, ihr if we are talking to a group of people. Sie is used for a single person or a group of different people in a formal setting. There's also and Sie, but this is mostly for royalty. So if you are, and that is actually quite old-fashioned. So sometimes you will read that Her Royal Highness, it's the same in English, you know, Her Royal Highness would like to have her bath. So something like that, you know. But as this is rarely used, we'll just drop that and we'll just concentrate on do, sie, and ihr, because that is already complicated enough. So, German is not the only language that does that. So if you go to Scandinavian countries, you have du, nie. If you go to Dutch, you have ihr and u. If you go to French, you have tu and vous. If you go to Spanish, you have tu and usted. And in Old English, you have thou and you, or thou and thee, depending on the substitution. And the one thing you have to keep in mind is that if you know how this is done in German, don't think that you're prepared for how it's done in the other countries. Yeah. For example, the rules in Sweden are, basically it's do. It's if you have a receipt, if you have a formal document, then they use the need form. But usually you go to a shop saying, hey, do you will have nothing. So the rules are quite different in these instances. Another thing, and this was actually a nice thing. Yesterday I talked with an English native speaker who said, yeah, it's confusing for us because we do not have these politeness levels. And I said, you are utterly wrong about that. And he said, no, we don't. Okay, I went, at one point I went to London, Victoria, and yesterday, maybe at the culinary festival, you had a taste of Iron Brew. It's a Scottish lemonade. So I went to London, Victoria. I wanted to have some Iron Brew. So I went to the Sainsbury's, and I didn't see it on the shelves. So I asked at the till, excuse me, do you have Iron Brew? And the cashier said, one moment, sir. Please let me close the till, sir. Wait a moment, sir. Let me have a look, sir. No, sir. There, sir. The cans are hidden behind the pillar, sir. Of course you couldn't see them, sir. How many cans would you like, sir? So, what? So, this, just calling sir in English is kinda the idea of that politeness level. So you don't in English you don't say Sie, but you say sir and ma'am to kinda put this level back into the language. Inflection. These, basically the grammar rules. These always use the inflection of the third person plural. So you say, Sie haben da einen Fehler gemacht. Entschuldigen Sie bitte, wie geht es zum Brandenburger Tor? Können Sie mir die aktuelle Uhrzeit sagen? Entschuldigung, haben Sie vielleicht ein Taschentuch für mich? It's always third person plural. Ihr is second person plural. Ihr habt da einen Fehler gemacht. Entschuldigt bitte, wie geht es zum Brandenburger Tor? Note that while in the Sie form you say entschuldigen Sie bitte, in the Ihr form you drop the E. So it's entschuldigt bitte. Könnt ihr mir die aktuelle Uhrzeit sagen? Entschuldigung, habt ihr vielleicht ein Taschentuch für mich? And with do, second person singular. So, du hast da einen Fehler gemacht, entschuldige bitte, wie geht es zum Brandenburger Tor? Again, without the pronoun. Kannst du mir die aktuelle Uhrzeit sagen? Entschuldigung, hast du ein Taschentuch für mich? Analyses, as I said, Sie can be used for a group of people or a single person. When you are addressing people, in general, there are exceptions, I'll get to that later. In general, that also means that you are using Herr and Frau and the last name of that person. So, if you say Herr Müller, if you say bitte kommen Sie herein, and that person is called Müller with his last name, you would say Herr Müller. Or Herr und Frau Meyer, something like that. If you have an old textbook, you will still find Fräulein. Fräulein is no longer actively used. It's frowned upon. Because Fräulein normally was the same difference as Miss and Mrs. in English, so Miss for an unmarried woman and Mrs. for a married woman. And thanks to the women's rights movement, it was like, it's nobody's business whether I'm married or not. So just refrain from using that. Except when you want to make a snide remark, you know, it's a friend of yours, and she was kind of cheeky, and then sometimes you still use Fräulein in the sense of be careful, young Fräulein. That is one of the few exceptions, but in general, this is no longer considered to be polite. For du, as I said, you have normally, and I'll talk about the exceptions in a moment, you will have a first name. So if you are on du level, you're also on first name level. Declination, I left off the genitive because that is a different issue, because then we are talking about possessive pronouns, which follow roughly the same rules, of course. But in nominative, it's sie, du, ihr. And dative is ihnen, dir, euch. Accusative, sie, dich, euch. One of the things, if you still struggle with these things, you can always keep in mind, dative comes from Latin dare, to give. So the one you are giving something to is dative, and the object you give to that person is accusative. Words. To make everything which I will say after this point easier, if you say sie to someone else, we call that sitzen. So if you want to say I'm on sie level with this one person, you would say wir sitzen uns. Same if you want to say that you are saying du, it's wir duzen uns. If you said, yeah, he just offered me to that we could come to do level, we'll talk about that protocol later, then this is called das Du anbieten. If you do not want that, then you could decide to refuse the Du, and that is das Du ablehnen. And there's also a standing term in German which means per du sein. Per du sein means not only you're saying du to each other, but you're close. You're actually, you know him. You're on a personal level. That means per du sein. For example, oh yeah, I know Malachi. He's a really cool guy. We are per du. Meaning, we are saying du to each other. We are pals. Hi. Okay, when to use du or ihr, and this list is incomplete. As I said, we're still at the textbook examples. So when you're talking to children or relatives or friends, it is always du. So no matter. If you read old texts in the 19th century, from the 19th century, you will see that this has changed over time. So in the 19th century, you had some letters between famous persons, and between my dear friend, and basically, but the whole letter is in Sie form, which was just some kind of respect. Nowadays, nobody does that. If you're a friend, then you are on du level. When do you use sie? The thing is, children amongst themselves say du. Children speaking to adults are supposed to use sie. That's the only way that's the only moment where this is not symmetrical, where you have one side using the du form and the other side using the sie form. In all other cases, and that's still the textbook. And if in doubt, use sie.
What about an older family member? Do you use sie or would you use?
No, you would say du. nowadays. Yeah.
Can I just ask, is there a lot of are there a lot of mistakes made because the children are just talking rapidly?
Yeah.
So they would make mistakes to the adults?
Yes, especially if we're talking about young children, you know, you can just tell, if they would just walk up to you and say, "Was machst du da?" and stuff like that, because they're young, you know, they start to come to grips with language. So at one point or the other, they would start to use the Z form because, you know, depending on language skill they have. So if you're talking about very small children, very actually lucky that they get one sentence together, you know, it's kind of excused. Yeah. Yeah.
Me?
Yeah.
So what about military officers? Would a higher ranking officer give due to lower ranking?
No, that is always the point. Because, pardon? Yeah. Please let's put the Q&A later because we need to. I'm a bit behind the time. So as I said, mutual use of a pronoun, normally it is always mutual. There are exceptions, but this mostly involves between children and adults. So children are supposed to say "sie" and adults are supposed to say "you do." So this was a quick textbook section of this talk. Questions the textbook does not answer, and that is the list for "do" complete? No, it isn't. How do you get from "sie" to "do" in a friendship? And when do you stop saying "do" to a child? And to show you how confusing things can get, I will talk about two examples now. This is my mother. She was born in 1937. This is my father. He was born in 1935 and unfortunately died in 2009. And these are our, well, it's kind of dark, but these are Mr. and Mrs. Straub, which are our next door neighbors. And they moved in when I was 6 years old. And we are in a twin house. So next door literally means next door. So two parties living in that house. And the Straubs were the kind of neighbors which you would like to have. You know, you had a little chat with them about the weather and stuff. They helped you when there was something very heavy in the garden needed to be done. They were always kind. It was always a good relationship, and at a certain point they started to show up at birthdays, also to give their respect and their regards, and didn't outsay their welcome. The usual social dance you do. Oh, I do have something to do. Oh no, but please do stay for another cup of coffee. No, I really shouldn't. Oh yeah, okay, maybe one cup and then they leave. You know, something like that. So this always worked very well, and they at one point they started hanging around at my parents' place and playing games and stuff like that. So at one point they played a game in my parents' garden, and they had a bit to drink. So Mrs. Straub was a bit courageous, and she offered the do. Question. I would like to have an estimate of you. How much time did pass from the moment they moved in to the moment this happened, this moment where they started to say do to each other?
10 years.
10 years.
30.
5.
2 years.
2 years.
30.
30.
15.
15. 20.
It's a long time.
It's actually bang in the middle between 20 and 30 was 25 years. It's a quarter of a century. And of course that's a generation thing, because they were the older generation and you just are very, very hesitant to do that step. Although they were always on friendly terms, there was no quarrel, ever between them. It was a good neighborly relationship, and it needed 25 years to foster. And according to my mother, if they hadn't had a drink that evening, would have taken another even longer time.
After.
Yeah, and they're friends now. Now that it's a really good friendship. Okay, that was story number 1. Story number 2 is about this man. This is Dieter Bohlen. Who here knows Simon Cowell? Yeah. Simon Cowell is the inventor of X Factor and stuff like that. And his job on these casting shows is to be the bad guy. He's the one who is supposed to talk down to people and to crush their hopes and dreams. On German casting shows, that's this man's job. He's the direct German equivalent. He's also a music producer. He used to be a star, and he's the one who basically tells those young people that they are no good on stage in very rude terms. And there was an incident. So, as I said, music producer. There was an incident in 2010. Bohlen darf Polizisten duzen. What had happened? Bohlen got into an argument with a police officer in Hamburg in 2010. Basically, he parked his car where he was supposed to park his car. And they got into an argument, and there were quite a few expletives that were thrown into the room, but the police officer couldn't prove that. What the police officer could prove, and there were quite a few witnesses who could witness that, was Bohlen said "du" to him. What's the deal, you might mean? If you are a German native speaker and in clear command of the German language, and you would walk up to a police officer here and you would say "du," and that police officer had half a mind and felt insulted and would sue you, that would cost you a fine of 500 euros for insulting a police officer for using the "du" form, because this is showing disrespect towards the police and the state. Now, the thing is that Bohlen didn't just accept the fine, and it was settled in court. And the court said, if you turn on a television set, you can tell that Dieter Bohlen says "du" to everybody. He never uses the C form, he always says "du." And because he always uses the "du" form, that means this was not an insult. It was rude, it's certainly rude, it's certainly impolite, but it's not a departure of his normal way of speaking, so this is not an insult, and so the case was dismissed. So, just to give you a perspective, between my parents, who took 25 years to say "du" to friendly neighbors, up to someone who always uses "du," there's a whole range of options. Nowadays, if I were to live in such a twin house and we had the neighbors over, and it would be a lot faster. For current generation, we go from "sie" to "du" a lot faster. So, but what does that mean for you? There are some general rules you can add to what I said about the textbook examples. One is, if you are going to events or groups of leisure, it is very common that you start with "du" right away and you do not need to ask for permission. And that is especially the case for sport clubs. So you go and, you join Jiu-Jitsu class, or you're going to Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu means that you will wrestle on a mat with that guy a lot. And you will roll in each other's sweat. You do not say "sie" in that case. excuse me, könnten Sie bitte Ihren Arm aus meiner Hüfte nehmen? Something like that, you know? No, you don't say that, you just do. This is by the way, this is something that children really need to get used to. A lot of children have problems because normally they're supposed to say Sie to adults. And then they join the sports club and say, willst du zuerst oder soll ich zuerst? Drop the Sie for crying out loud. So, yeah, especially sport clubs, internet forums. If you are on the internet, I mean, you're joining, for example, a Polyglot forum or a Polyglot group. I mean, everybody has the same special interest. We have friends by hobby. So, of course, generally you would use a do or earphone. And this is true for all events which are family-like in nature. If you go on a vacation and you have a tour package or something like that, the guests would say Sie probably, at least at first, until someone is courageous enough to offer they do. But the people who are organizing it, the travel companions, they would sometimes use, my name is Michael, and if you have a problem, just address me. So they invite you to say do to them to kind of ease up because everyone wants to have a good time. Workplace. That depends heavily on industry and region. In most companies nowadays, it is customary that the co-workers say do to each other. Informal documents and letters still always Sie. That is still the case. At the job interview, it's still Sie. And wait until the do is offered to you. You're not the one doing that. Do not do that, especially if the job interview isn't yet over. Oh, just say do to me. Hello. No, because do and Sie is a thing of distance, you know. And at job interview, you're still at arm's length, kind of, you know. We still want to see whether we are friends or not. And the moment the job interview is over, and says, oh yeah, we would like to hire you. Then it's often customary that the moment the ink dries on the contract, said, oh, by the way, I'm Peter. Don't worry, that usually happens quickly. There are special cases which can be quite confusing for foreigners. There is something called the Hamburger Sie or Hamburger Du. I told you earlier that normally the Sie form is with the last name and Herr and Frau, and that the Du is with the first name. But there are exceptions. One is the Hamburger Sie. In some parts, in some businesses, you actually have the first name with the Sie form. So you would hear something like, Frank, haben Sie mal eine Minute? A little more common, especially if you're talking about garages and stuff, you know, where craftsmen are working, or on construction yards, you will hear that that often as well. At the military, sometimes as well, they are already when it's a little friendlier within the company. You will have the Münchner Du or Kassiererin Du, which is Du and the last name. For example, Gruber, mach mal das Fenster zu. You would use the last name, but with Du. And, or the Du, Herr and Frau and last name. Herr Gruber, kannst du mal kommen? That is, you will, sometimes if you go to a supermarket here and you wait for a while, it's actually something you will sometimes hear in supermarkets. So that they use Herr and Frau and last name, but Du. If you're ever in such a situation, just follow the lead. Just listen into what is normal in where you are. It's just something you have to ease into. Business. In some industries, especially IT, it's customary to use Do with customers and business partners as well. This is following the lead of in English. You know, when you have an English correspondence with someone, they use the first name right away often. So this kind of evening it up for Germany, because when you're doing IT business in Germany, of course you have a lot of correspondence also with Englishmen, and it's kind of trickled down. Again, in formal documents and letters, you still use Z. The golden rule is always wait for customer to offer the do. You don't do that right away, and you don't do that as one, because this is just a matter of respect. You know, you're respecting him, and when he says, "Oh no, we know each other now," for a certain type of years. To give you a rough idea, I'm an IT trainer, and I'm working with an agency that giving me these opportunities. The lady who is my contact person at that agency, we started saying "do" to each other after 4 or 5 months, and about roughly 3 to 4 projects together, where she noticed, okay, I can trust that guy. It's the project running smoothly, and then she offered to do, saying, let's say "do" to each other, basically, friendly. Yeah. We like you. We want to keep you. The boss of that agency offered me the do 7 years later. So sometimes you have to keep. You just have to keep notes. Oh yeah, I'm on do level with him, but on Z level with her. And you kind of sometimes it gets complicated. So if in doubt, let the other person take. If you have a business partner where you're on the same social level, it depends. In IT, as I said, it can be quite. It can be quite fast. For example, at one point I was giving a presentation for a company, and I wasn't even through the door where they said, "Oh, could we just drop the Z? And by the way, we have a company party this evening. Would you like to join us and drink some beers?" All right? Okay. Yeah. Why not? Shopping in restaurants. In Berlin, you will see there are a lot of hip restaurants and shops. It's something that Berlin is renowned for. Depending on how hip, it may be okay to go in there and say "do" to the waiter or the waitress. Again, if in doubt, use Z. Very important. You know, don't go into a fancy French restaurant. I think that it's okay. You know, it can be a bit daring. A good idea is observe how young the staff is. If they're about in their early 20s, as I said, children really need to get used to the fact that they are now adults, and that people say Z and they feel uncomfortable to a certain degree, because this distance, you know, it's building up some distance between the speaker and the addressee. So sometimes we feel uncomfortable with that. So they would actually be grateful if you just say "do" and just drop that formality. Politics. This is one of the fun things. You think that in politics it's always a Z, but this is not the case. If you're talking about parties which are more on the left side of the spectrum, and this includes, of course, for example, the German party Die Linke, or we are talking about the Green Party as well, it is very customary for them to say "do." And so you see Gregor kommt. This is Gregor Gysi, a very renowned figure of the party Die Linke. And just to show you the opposite case, the other case, they're not only talking about, they're not even giving the name, it's just Die Kanzlerin kommt. Yes. This is the Chancellor, yes, we know. Okay, dealing with antipathy. Do is often used in expletive. So you're in car traffic and the guy in front of you is basically doesn't know how to drive. You would often say, I will not finish that sentence. But it would be but sometimes you also use sie there, which is kind of odd because you're just insulting that person on a personal level. A former boss of mine once said, man darf im geschäftlichen Umgang immer sie Arschloch sagen, auch das sie muss man verstehen. So he didn't understand that. In business, you are always allowed to say sie asshole, but you have to insist on the sie. So there's a certain level of form or distance you should remain in business. Offering the do. How much time should pass until you can ask for a do? You don't have to wait for 25 years like my parents did. It depends. How old are you? Where are you from? Do you like that person actually? What is the context? If you're on the same social level, either party may suggest it. If you're not on the same social level, you always wait for the lead of one who's high up the ladder. So that's the general thing. If you want to do that, you can say, wollen wir uns duzen oder darf ich Ihnen das Du anbieten? Oder wollen wir oder lass uns Du sagen or something like that. So basically, you're just offering things. If the one refuses, that's saying a thing about the social level. It can be quite awkward. And I'll talk about that in a moment. So just for childhood, I already told you about that. As I said, children are supposed to be addressed by do, and at certain point that transitions, and there's the official and the unofficial rule. Basically, if you're out on the street and you see someone who is just shy of 18 or just around in that area, you still get away with saying do. That's all right. In school, however, they encourage children to be, students to be addressed with sie. The moment they stop being children, start to become adolescents. And that is roundabout after 8th grade. So from 9th or 10th grade on, the teachers are encouraged to say sie to the children to reinforce their adult persona, so that they can feel into how it is to be an adult. From a personal experience, some teachers ignore that because it's kind of awkward. You go into the summer break, and the teacher you had for 5 years told you said hab einen schönen Urlaub. Said vielen Dank, Herr Lehrer. Auf Wiedersehen. And you come back from the summer break, and suddenly he says, wie waren Ihre Ferien? And that's very awkward and feels very awkward as a child. So some teachers ignore that. Some teachers discuss with their students how they should fare with that. Is it okay if I still say do to you? And sometimes it even switches around that they say, okay, is it okay if I say do to you? But then you can also now say do to me, because then you have the symmetrical thing going. And some teachers even offer individual solutions, which one of my teachers did. And he basically said, if you want to continue to say sie to me, you will have to live with the fact that I will say sie to you as well. If you want me to say do to you, then you will have to say do to me as well. And that was okay because everyone had his choice then, what he felt most comfortable with. But it left for very awkward lessons because it was like, Herr Klauer, could you please help me with that? Yeah. Michael, hello. What did you mean with question 3? Something like that. So you have had a mixture of how people were addressing the teacher. Transitioning back to Z. This is usually a very bad sign. So you were on due terms with someone, and suddenly someone starts to use Z again. That means you're in trouble. Is it because it's building up distance again, which you actually tore down, and that could be for a reason, for example, that he's done with you. He would like to go to court with you for some reason. You have both crossed the line, and he's regressing back to the former state. Sometimes people refuse to do also in a group. For example, you have a group of business partners working together, everybody says do to each other, and there's one person who still insists on the Z. That is mostly just to keep the distance for some reason, because they think, they're not good anyway. Something like that. These are special cases. You really need to be careful socially wise. I know. I need to hurry up a bit. Signs to be very careful. So, if you have an overly formal letter from a business friend using Z, that's really. And then, for example, if it's I was talking about letters from the 19th century. If you have a letter from the 19th century, Hochachtungsvoll is a very common closing formula for a letter from the 19th century. Hochachtungsvoll means with the highest respect. With the highest respect nowadays means you. By the way, the German IR still uses that formula, and that tells you a lot. But the big thing is, other things you need to be careful for. Normally, the closing form would be with freundlichen Grüßen and with freundlichen Gruß. Basically, if you cross the line with a do, there are also certain formulas. For example, you will hear, Entschuldigung, kennen wir uns? Excuse me, do we know each other? And that for you should be okay, back off, you used to do in the wrong context. The opposite, of course, is also true if you use Z, although you are unfriendly. It can build up distance where you don't want to have distance. I think, for example, if here on a conference, if you go to someone, hey, wir hat Ihnen der Talk gefallen. It could be, it could sound unfriendly and pushing the other person away. So be careful about that. Okay, to close it off, because I'm almost out of time. If in doubt, you see. And wait for the other person to offer the do. If you accept the do, stick to it. It could be seen as impolite if you don't. As I said, if you regress to the Z, it's a bad sign. In some contexts, the do is normal and can be used without asking, for example, sport clubs, and this conference. That's why I welcomed you to the Hawaii. If in doubt, see what the others around you are doing. You can always ask, is this in Ordnung, wenn ich du sage, especially as a foreigner? If in doubt, just ask. Children are always do or ihr, so are fellow sport club members, and if you start with do, but the other person continues to say Z, switch to Z. Quickly. That's it.
Okay, first a comment and a couple of questions. First, I'm very happy that things are evolving. When I learned German, I was told you don't need to learn the do form because you will never get to know the German well enough. That's what my German teacher spoke. My other question is, Is it when you transfer, I have two questions. When you transfer from Z to do, is there any drinking involved, or do you just say it? Because in Norway we used to have do and Z, and if you wanted to transfer, you had to drink to the informal form.
It's not compulsory. I had when I have usually transitions from Z to do. I don't drink alcohol anyway, but often this is done in a friendly relationship. The business partner I talked about, he transitioned when we were out having lunch. We didn't drink any alcohol. It was just, you know what? No, we've known each other for 7 years now. Just drop the Z.
Okay, my second question. I'm going out this evening with a German colleague. She's about my age. We've known each other for 15 years. We've always spoken English. I'm going to try to speak German. May I then assume that since we are on the same social level, we've known each other for a long time, it's okay to say you?
Are you on first name level?
Oh, yes.
Then yes.
Okay, thanks.
Hello, thank you for your talk. One question: if you have a woman business partner,
Yeah.
Should you, as a man, wait for her to offer the do? Is there any difference? Or is it sexist?
That's a very difficult question. It very much depends on what kind of woman that is, and how the relationship.
A woman you could find attractive. I mean, you do find attractive.
Then you can kind of ease it in. I would. So if you're talking about business relations, then you could just steer towards normal topics, and if you just realize that it works. Sometimes there are also things where you are so comfortable with the other person that you slip the two slips anyway, because nice person.
Don't answer my question.
Yeah, probably because there is no general rule. You cannot. For me, I would probably, if it's the same social level, I would probably use it in an unconspicuous way. It wouldn't be sexist, because can we say do? That's actually not a problem. But as I said, the context is key. Some people could be seen as too forward, but that very much depends on a lot of factors.
The last question. Hey, that's a great talk.
Thanks.
I think because the first time in Ireland, the one language was French, where the formal is the second person of plural. When I first arrived in Germany, I kind of had it in my head that, oh sure, using ihr and euch must be even more formal than using sie on uns. No, that's totally wrong. So I just wanted to clarify that using ihr and euch is informal.
Yes, right? That is ihr and euch is on the same level as du.
But now I was watching. If I remember correctly, I was watching Game of Thrones in German, and they use this they try to emulate this old-fashioned English that they use in the English version. Back then, I think they said ihr.
Yes,
right?
yes, exactly. This is the equivalent of, as I said earlier, you have the and Sie form for royalty. So even further back, it was the plural. So a king would say, wir haben entschieden. We, the plural. We meaning himself.
Oh, okay.
Just referring to himself. And others would address him with ihr as second person plural. This is no longer the case. You would nowadays ihr is just informal on the same level as du.
Also Jens, wir danken dir für den Vortrag.
Danke.